Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. First of all, I'd like to wish you happy Valentine's Day, so I hope you're enjoying yourself today. And in fact, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is Moving Forward. And that is because anybody could move forward rather easily right now, because there are so many planets in the heavens right now that are involved in harmonious trines with each other, particularly in the earth signs, the air signs, and the fire signs. So for instance, today there are 4 planets in the earth signs, and that's because Mars has moved out of Aries, and it has just moved into Taurus. It's at 0 degrees of that sign. And it is trining 3 other planets, Venus, its own ruler, and Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. And so since Mars is now trining Venus, it simply means that men and women can get along a lot better, particularly when it comes to discussing practical matters. So that's good. And then also, if you or someone you know has been very hardworking, it means that, and has a lot of experience, it means they could be increasing their productivity and perhaps earning some career honors for that. In other words, some sort of recognition at work or in the community, which would be richly deserved. And then on top of that, since Taurus is a fixed financial sign, and it's being trined by a lot of beautiful 3 planets in Capricorn, and Mars is there as well, it simply means there could be some solid money around right now for some sort of plan or venture or project. And that's because, you know, it's a money sign, and there are 4 planets there in earth signs trining each other. Those 4 planets are also trining the sign of Virgo. So if you haven't done anything to improve your health yet, you may decide to get real practical about that as well. And then in the air signs, the lights are with you, and that is because the sun today is in Aquarius, the sign of the future. So that is what we should all be concentrating on, but it is trining the moon today in Gemini. And together, those 2 planets are trining the sign of Libra. So that simply means that there is the possibility that plans for some sort of project or goal of yours could be modified or adapted to fit the goal, or more importantly, to fit your budget. And by modified or adapted, what I mean is, if you don't have quite enough money to do everything that you want right now, you may be able to modify or select one thing over another as a priority, and at least that could fit in your budget. And while you're achieving that, maybe you could save a little more money for the next priority. And eventually you'd get the whole thing done and paid for, which would be pretty nice. And because the sun and the moon are trining the sign of Libra, it means that there can be more compromise now, or some sort of reconciliation or diplomacy going on, or even the possibility of a better partnership or better partnership terms on a more evenly balanced scale. And so that could be good because it would be more easily achieved, particularly the idea of some sort of reconciliation could be more easily achieved right now. And then because Gemini rules short journeys, you might be deciding to go on one. Or short forms of communication can certainly be highlighted right now, and that's why it's important to communicate with people. Even if you're a little bit hesitant to say what your ideas or plans are, I think you should just be brave and go right ahead and do it, because there's a lot of people that feel like they want to move forward right now, and they may be quite anxious to hear what you have to say. So that would be good. And that simply means that promotions or marketing or even buying and selling or some sort of publicity right now could be very favorable. And then among the fire signs, there aren't as quite as many planets as there used to be, but still, Uranus is at 29 degrees of Aries. It's a planet of sudden surprising change, and it is being trined beautifully by Jupiter in Sagittarius. And so that simply means that events at a distance or people that you know from other areas could be getting in touch with you. They may want to start something new, which could get off the ground quite suddenly, or there can be some sort of new venture or project that begins in a rather urgent way or a very quick way, and it would also involve high tech, because that's what Uranus rules. And all of that could be really favorable right now as it gets underway. So this is a good time to think about moving forward because, oh boy, the planets are with you. However, nothing's perfect, and there can still be whispers and intrigue behind the scenes, because there is one element where there are no planets trining each other, and it is the water signs. And that is because Neptune and Mercury, the planet of communication, are both in Pisces, and Neptune is very strong there. It rules that sign. But it isn't, those planets aren't being supported by any other planets, and they're being squared by the moon in Gemini today, and also by Jupiter in Sagittarius. So there is the possibility that whispers and intrigue can be going on behind the scenes, but it is also possible that somebody who could be an impostor or who is feigning some sort of illness or malady or is playing the poor me role, there is the possibility that no one's going to believe them right now. You know, I don't think they're going to be too successful with that. So this is a time when, yes, you do have to watch what's going on behind the scenes or try to find out facts. In other words, don't believe everything that you hear. But really, there are so many planets moving forward right now that your future is here. It's right now. You can move forward toward it. And you have a choice. Either your future is something that you are going to go with right now, or else you're going to get left behind. And I'm sure you wouldn't want that, because none of us can really live in the past. We can have fond memories, but you know, the sun always rises. Tomorrow always comes. And that is why all of us now, in one way or another, can move forward. So I hope you give that a try. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, this is a time when I think that you would be wildly successful if you were thinking of moving forward in your plans that could be travel plans or plans for a higher education course that could increase your skill level. That would be great. Or it could be if you're planning to change careers, maybe you would need a little extra training for that, which you could get. Or it is possible that something at a distance could begin rather quickly. It could involve high tech as well, or computers or the internet, something like that. All of that would work out well, and particularly your travel plans would work out well right now. But that would be at a distance. What's happening a little closer to home, perhaps within your career or your work environment, could be challenging to you. And that is because Venus, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn are all squaring Uranus in your sun sign right now. And your ruler, Mars, has moved on. It's in Taurus right now. So I think that you really have to conform to strict rules and regulations that somebody else is making, or to demands by higher management that know what they want. And there is even the possibility, Aries, that your performance could be under some sort of evaluation or review right now and may be found a little lacking. And so it could be because these people have very high standards. So they might challenge you to sort of up your game a little bit, and if you try to do that, you could be successful if you just work at it a little bit. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, excuse me, I almost sneezed. This is a time when you can be energized. And the reason why is that Mars has just entered your sign, and it can be stirring you up a little bit or motivating you. And it could be motivating you in a very positive way, Taurus. And the reason why is that Mars in your sign is trining your own ruler, Venus, which is now in Capricorn along with Saturn and Pluto. So you got a lot of good backup. And you have people that like you very much, that could be older and wiser. Maybe they're the ones with the high standards, but they would want to include you in their plans right now. And so I hope that you are listening to wise advice from other people who not only like you, but you know, they could open doors for you eventually, Taurus, as long as you agree to work really hard right now and to do that without complaint. And that's because you could be in a little period right now of being tested. But it's tested, you'd be getting tested for the right reasons, and the right reasons would be the possibility of a promotion. And so this is an important time for you to sort of stick to your goals and a really good work ethic, because they are really going to pay off. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, the moon is in your sign today. It's being trined by the sun in Aquarius. And so you certainly have the possibility of being able to say the right things at the right time and get what you want, Gemini. You also, since your sign is very versatile and adaptable, you could also adapt or modify your plans to fit into your budget. And that would be all right with you. In other words, your sign rules part-time or temporary efforts. Maybe you just want to go at a goal a little bit at a time. And so you'd be very successful about that. You'd be very successful with that as long as you're heading toward your future. You would also be excellent at communicating and maybe picking up a potential partner, or perhaps forming a legal alliance right now. Those would be things that you ought to sort of go for, Gemini. You shouldn't believe everything though, because Neptune and your ruler, Mercury, are in Pisces, squaring your sun, and Jupiter in Sagittarius is opposing your sun sign, which means that events at a distance can be working out more in someone else's favor than your own. But I wouldn't worry about that too much right now, Gemini. Stick to what you do well, which is promotion or buying and selling or marketing, or certainly bringing other people together so that they can work together a little bit better. So I think that the door is open to your future right now, and all you have to do is walk through it. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think that you're going to be able to find out what whispers or intrigue are going on behind the scenes, because Neptune and Mercury, which is the planet of communication, are trining your sun sign. So even though you can find out who a phony is and what they're doing behind the scenes, you would know that, but I'm not certain that you can use that information to your advantage right now. You could at least get your eyes open about some people that might have been fooling you. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. But this is a time, I think, for you to think a little bit more about practical matters, and that is because Mars is no longer squaring your sun. Uranus still is, but Mars isn't. It has moved into Taurus, and now it is sextiling your sun. And so this would be a good time for you to be thinking about financial matters in a very practical way. And those financial matters may involve a real estate transaction of some sort. And the reason why is that your sign rules residential real estate and Taurus rules commercial real estate. So you could be getting interested in some sort of investment that deals with those things. And that might, you know, I think that maybe you could pursue that, but you'd have to do it rather quietly right now. And the reason why is that Uranus is still squaring your sun sign, and Uranus rules new beginnings, and you don't want someone else to beat you to the punch there. So you need to be a little bit quiet about what you're planning. And then Venus, Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are opposing your sun sign, which means that you too are a person that has to meet higher standards right now, or follow the rules and regulations really closely. Whether you want to or not, you'll simply have to do it. And that can work out well for you in the end. it could be a little onerous and time consuming for you, but still you'll have to do it. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, you know, Uranus in Aries is still trining your sun, and Jupiter in Sagittarius is trining your sun as well. That means events at a distance or people from far away can be having good news for you. That would delight you. And travel would work out really well for you right now. And there is the prospect of some sort of new beginning. I don't think it's really underway completely, but there is the prospect of that in your future. However, you have to be more careful now, Leo, and the reason why is that planets are in fixed signs. The sun in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign, so someone else can be planning their future, perhaps without you, and yet they're connected to you somehow, and you still need to communicate with them, and you should continue to do that. That is to your advantage to know what they're doing. So, I mean, keep a smile on your face and go ahead and communicate. But now, Mars is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it is squaring your sun sign. And that is why I caution you about not moving too quickly. Just slow down, Leo, because there could be an investment or a financial matter at risk right now, and that's why you want to move much more slowly. No matter how much pressure you're getting from somebody else to make a new beginning, I'd slow down if I were you. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, there are more planets trining your sun right now, and that's because Mars in Taurus is now trining your sun, and Venus, Saturn, and Pluto are also trining your sun because they're in Capricorn. And so if you have your mind on work or your career or your health, then that's where it should be, because this is a good time for you, Virgo, to be very practical about financial matters. At the same time, though, Neptune and Mercury are opposing your sun in Pisces, and Jupiter in Sagittarius is squaring your sun, and the moon in Gemini is squaring your sun. I think that in a sort of a disillusioning way, you are about to discover the real truth about somebody who has been really faking it. And you could discover that even accidentally or through someone else. But you are a person that needs to be real careful about who you're trusting right now. And if I were you, I would only stick to the facts. And if they don't add up, then you need to say goodbye to somebody. Because I don't think you can just believe them anymore, no matter what they're saying, because the facts don't add up. And they have to for a Virgo, because Virgo, your sign rules facts and details and accountability. But there could have been something sort of fishy going on behind the scenes, and now I think you're going to find out what it is. And so that could disillusion you, but in the end, of course, it would be best for you to know the truth. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when the future is really opening up for you, Libra, because the sun is in Aquarius, which rules the future, trining your sun, and the moon is in Gemini, also trining your sun. So if you have your mind on some short-term projects or temporary efforts or a possible alliance of some kind or partnership, and it could be just not permanent, but it could be nice right now for you, then you ought to go ahead with that. You could also be very good right now at adapting or modifying your plans to fit your budget a little bit better. And that means you could just, instead of trying to do everything, just take one step at a time, because that's all you can afford, and then take the next step once you have more money saved. That's a good way to go, and it doesn't put as much pressure on you either, Libra. So this is a good time for you to just think about moving forward just one step at a time. But believe me, you would be very successful at doing that. So I hope you give that a try, because your future is really calling you right now. At the same time, you have to do something other people's way. And these could be people in large corporations or government agencies, because Venus, your own ruler, and Saturn and Pluto are squaring your sun sign. Uranus in Aries is opposing your sun sign, but that won't occur for much longer. And so there is something something that's been irritating you that's not going to stay much longer. and it will go by the wayside in another month. So believe me, you should be focused just on your future, Libra, because it is looking very bright. So just take it one step at a time. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when, just like Leo, you need to be a little bit careful. Not because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. After all, Neptune and Mercury are in Pisces. They are trining your sun. So if you've been doing something behind the scenes, there could be a few other people that know about that right now. Or if they've been doing something, you know what their actions are as well. So that's fine. You could be getting some sort of insider information. But it may not do you too much good at the moment, and that is because planets are starting to go into fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. And so the sun in Aquarius is squaring your sun, but the danger really is coming from the fact that Mars is in Taurus now, and it is opposing your sun sign. Both your sign and Taurus are the only fixed financial signs, but Mars is your own ruler, and it is opposing your sun sign. And that simply means there's some funny money going on somewhere in your life, Scorpio. It may not be that you're involved in it. What if you were supposed to be the recipient of some money? I'm telling you, there's something a little funny going on. It may be that somebody else wants a little bit more of your share of something than you realize. Or else there are some funny financial terms going on. And that's why you should be very careful right now before you put your money into anything or you invest in anything. You not only need to read the fine print, but you also need to get a second opinion before you part with any money right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, Jupiter is still in your sign, lucky you, and it is trining Uranus in Aries right now, which means that quite suddenly, right out of the blue, something new could begin that could be a high-minded venture, and it also could involve high tech of one sort or another. And you would be rather enthusiastic about it. Well, if it involves something that involved the things your sign rules, like travel, or religion, or philosophy, or higher education, that could work out pretty well for you, Sagittarius. But on the other hand, there could be some whispers behind the scenes or intrigue going on. There may be something you don't know that you should find out about first, Sagittarius, because Neptune and Mercury, the planet of communication and of the mind, are squaring your sun sign. And there are not as many planets in fire signs anymore. And so it would be to your advantage to investigate something first, just to find out if it's really all on the up and up before you jump into it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, you could be beginning to think about something new in your future. We can all move forward right now, and the sun in Aquarius is right ahead of your sun sign. So if you're aiming for your future, that you're going in the right direction, Capricorn. And yet you can be very busy and thinking about what everything's going to cost as well. Your sign is well aspected. For one reason, Mars in Taurus is now trining your sun, not squaring it anymore. And it is trining not only your sun sign, but Venus, Saturn, and Pluto, which are in your sun sign. And so you don't have quite as many things to worry about as you have had recently. And yet, because Taurus is a fixed financial sign and Mars is there, and it's trining Pluto in your sign. Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio. If you are thinking of borrowing some money for some sort of investment, I would look real closely at that, but that could be possible. On the other hand, if you already have the money and you're thinking of investing in something, that too is possible, but I would hold off a little longer on that, Capricorn. And that is because there's another planet that is squaring your sun sign. Uranus is in Aries, and it is about to change signs. In another month, it'll be in Taurus, or actually in a couple weeks, and it will be joining Mars there. They'll both be trining your sun. That might be that would just give you a couple of more weeks for you to think about some sort of financial investment before you actually let go of your money. And you can afford that, Capricorn. You can afford to spend a little bit more time and make sure you've got everything the way you want it first. So give that a go. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when, gee whiz, you can really head for your future, and that's because the sun is in your sign and it's trining the moon in Gemini today, and together the lights are trining the sign of Libra as well. So compromise, diplomacy, reconciliation are all possible right now, Aquarius, and also short journeys, publicity, promotions, those could work out really well. And there is the possibility that right now you could find it, you be able to adapt your plans to fit into a smaller budget. Why would that be very important for you right now, Aquarius? Because Mars is now in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it is squaring your sun sign. When Uranus comes in and joins that, both of those planets will be squaring your sun sign. And that means, particularly with Uranus squaring your sun for the next 7 years, that you have to be really careful about the money before you go forward with anything. For one reason, this is not a good time for you to think that the money's on its way. You have to make sure you've got it in your hand before you proceed. So you might have to slow down a little bit and modify your plans, but this is a perfect time to do it. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when if you are able to figure out who's been faking it, or who hasn't been telling the truth, or who has been making little whispers behind the scenes that can be somewhat damaging, it would be good for you to notice that and be aware of all of that, Pisces, because your sign is not being trined by any other planets. And in fact, the moon in Gemini is squaring your sun sign, and so is Jupiter in Sagittarius. You can be a little vulnerable to some mysteries or intrigue that's going on behind the scenes. That's why it would behoove you to find out the real truth about something before you believed it. And on top of that, it could be matters at a distance can be sounding great, but they may not be as great as you think they are. So you really need to slow down and question a few more things before you make a decision about your future, Pisces. Just rethink things first. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show, read our blog, and hear our podcast on our website, starborninstitute.org.